Hello, everybody. Welcome to the first ever episode of Bozo's Baby. uh, we're going to talk about something I don't want to even talk about because I'm just don't really know how I feel about it. Well, I know how I feel about it, but how I feel about it is very different from how everybody else seems to feel about it. It's the Will Smith debacle. All right. Will had a little bit of a nervous breakdown. It happens. It happens. He's not the most, extra, overly mannish dude. He knows himself to be a bit of a cornball type character. He knows this. He said it himself, especially always kind of living in the shadows of Tupac of all people. And so Will hit a wall like many of us do at some point. It's just that he's a celebrity. We don't have the expectation for him to do that. So this is the downfall of being a goody two shoes, right? When you're a goody two shoes, it's like, oh, look, but they love you everywhere and everybody loves you and you blend in so great and nobody's scared of you and they trust you in all genres of everything. But nobody's perfect. Nobody is. So the closer you get to seeming perfect, like the closer you get to people like even though people might say hey, he's not perfect, nobody's perfect, but still in their minds they're thinking, yeah, but he's closer than maybe anybody else in this whole set of whatever. So, but the closer you get, like that's that old rule: the higher you go, right, the farther down you fall. So, and when you don't address how you feel in real time. In 4K, when you don't address it, shit like this happens, like you're gonna have an outburst, you're gonna crack on camera. It will not be in your control. And so I feel bad for Will because clearly he couldn't control it. If he had any control over it at all, he would have done it differently. He would have just went up and cussed at him. He would have just cussed at him from his seat. He could have just done that. He could have skipped that first part. And I'm the petty type where I find everything funny. So when he went up there, I've watched the replay so many times. Swat. And all I kept thinking was his foot was so close to the edge of the little walk thing that he was on, that had he rotated just a little bit more on the way coming back from slapping, like when he rotated himself to turn back around, he could have accidentally stepped off the side of that little stage. No, it wasn't that far off, but it's enough to make him stumble, which would have been extremely embarrassing. Now I noticed the little shit, right? So I'm looking at that like, fuck. It's when you try to overly look strong and you accidentally end up making yourself look even weaker than you originally did. It's tough. He's not weak. He just appears to be. But Chris Rock did not deserve that. I know they say everybody hates Chris from that show, but this is just not true. I love Chris, and most people have been saying anything about it. Love Chris, so. And he's a freaking comedian, and he handled that just like a comedian would. He, but that doesn't mean that he wasn't hurt by that. I know you're probably thinking he on there roasting people. Yeah, but these are his peers. These are his peers. If he thought that it really was going to bother them, not anybody, but them, like Will and Jada, if he thought his joke was going to be below a belt, okay, he wouldn't have made that joke. I know plenty of people who would have. They would just go. They just go in. This is the types that they are. But he would not have done that. It's not even in his. He don't. That's not him. Like, he actually is one of those people who's like overly sensitive. He's way more sensitive to how people are and how they see stuff and how they view him. He's way more sensitive to that kind of stuff than any other comedian out here, especially the big ones. So he definitely would not have done that. So he did not deserve that. And I'm sure he's going to have, that is going to follow him around. He's going to handle it with grace because he's a professional. But that doesn't mean that he's not going to be like kind of traumatized by this. This is going to further kind of send him kind of into this thing of not trusting people and having this expectation that people aren't real. And even the people he admires himself, he's going to now question who they really are. You know what I mean? Like, that was tough. Like, that little bit of stall in between after he said, after Will screamed the second time, keep my wife's name out your mouth. And then, Chris, he just says, okay, I will, you know. And then he does this thing. It's like, oh, well. And then he tips his head up, and then he turns his head, and then he says that other line about the greatest night in show business. Now, but that feeling, like that look when he did that, that it was inside of that. I could feel that. I felt that I felt what he had in his gut when that happened. When he made that particular noise, I felt that shit. That was the part. It's that part. He was hurt. And then Will goes up there. I love Will to death, but Will goes up there, apologizes to everybody except for the person that he slapped, who was Chris Rock, of all people. Like, you laughed, nigga. Like, you laughed. Like I said, I love you to death, Will. Love you to death, but you were laughing. If anybody needed to go up there and slap him, it'd have been Jada. Now, if Jada went up there and slapped him, now that would have been something. I mean, the manosphere would have had a field day with that shit, of course, because they're little bitches who love to complain. They was like, oh, why do girls get to slap people and we don't? Oh my God, they want to be bitches so bad. But anyway, we're not going to get into that. Because this here is Bozo's Baby. It's going to be my new series where I talk about the things that I don't necessarily want to talk about. Like when there's something going on and it's just like, ugh, this is just gross that these things are going on. Like that this thing happened and everybody has an opinion and their opinions are so dumb. Like, and I don't even want to get in on it. But for those who are just curious about what Janine thinks about this, I decided to call it Bozo's Baby. Bozo is my daddy. And I don't necessarily like to talk about that. So I thought it was a proper name. I named it after my papa. Papa. Bozo's Baby. That's me. Bozo's Baby. All right. Y'all take it easy. And be good to each other. And don't be douchebags on the internet. It's just not cool. And I'll have less people to roast if you guys cut it out. So you want me to stop? You first, nigga. You first. Like, subscribe.